Hey gang, welcome to Technology Drop-In Thursday. Today is April 21st, 2022, and we are going to look at all sorts of fun stuff. Again, my focus here is on automation for the last little while that I'm here. For those of you that don't know it, I am retiring at the beginning of July. So I'm trying to put out as much video and content as I can for people to either learn or just ignore. So that's kind of where I'm going at these days. Let me just start off here first. Take a look at what we got here on our agenda. Mute notifications and team meeting. I've been having a heck of a time with this lately. I keep getting interrupted, and I'm not sure if it's coming from my Mac or from whatever else. But one thing I did notice recently is under the three dots more command, down at the bottom, mute notifications. So I think that overrides, or at least it has been when I've been using stuff, it overrides stuff. Typically, when you're in a meeting, though, it should show that you are busy and it should be blocking some of those notifications. So this might be another level that they're just rolling out to hopefully stop with some of that stuff. So yeah, if you find like me, you get annoyed after a while, just go ahead and mute those notifications directly from in there. Now, I don't know how many people are using Microsoft Forms. I like to use them because of the automation that's being built into it. But one thing that I have been frustrated with forever is how and where they save. So when you go to the Forms site for Microsoft Forms, basically look at it this way. You've got OneDrive and SharePoint, so that's where you store all your files and stuff. And then you have Forms. They're in two different buckets. So there's no way to say, oh, this OneDrive, or sorry, this form should be part of OneDrive, or this form should be part of SharePoint. They are totally two different buckets. They never come together. So when you're doing things like creating a form and there's an Excel spreadsheet that's attached to it, they're in two different locations. Can't find them. Whereas in Google, we're used to having, I can have the form and the documents that are uploaded and the spreadsheet all together. Not so with here. And when you come here, the first thing that you tend to do is you just see this and you go, oh, I'm going to create a new quiz, or from the drop down, I create a new form. When you do that, you are creating it in your personal space. And you'll notice here that I've created this workshop piece here under Trevor Beck. So when you go and just click on this and create stuff, it belongs to you. So you still have to go through these extra steps to do sharing, make sure people have access to it, et cetera, if you're doing a team form for a team. One of the things you can do is you can scroll to the bottom and then you see the groups. And so then I can go into that group and then I can create that. When you use that tool, that ensures that it's assigned to all the people in that team to also have access. And when I say have access, that means they can edit the form, or they can edit the form and do other stuff with it. So keep that in mind. I mean, it's great. You can add it that way. It works out well. You can also add it within a chat. So if I bring up a team here, and I'll go into this here piece, I'll go down to conference videos. I can go up here and I can add a form. And when I do that, it'll put a tab at the top. It'll embed it here in Teams, but it also makes sure that it is available to all the members of my team. So again, there's another way of ensuring I don't have to worry about the sharing and stuff. I can either create directly through here or come into here and create. Same thing happens. It still ends up in Forms on its own. There's no other place for it. It's not associated in OneDrive or SharePoint anyways, but it does have the sharing set up for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's something that they're working on. Even yesterday, so one of the reasons I bring that up is because this morning they turned on this feature where where is it? There it is. If I go into the three dots, I can now move this. So I can move this form from my personal space to a team or a group somewhere. And that will ensure that everyone that needs access to it will have access. That shows up under the resources and stuff. So this is brand new, like literally this morning, it wasn't there. So that's kind of handy, because quite often I will build these things and then I'll go, oh shoot, I meant to put that to the team or something like that. So those are things when you're working with forms, you can move them from that personal space into a team space. So a few weeks ago, I showed you guys how to create a form using a tool called Forms for Excel. It only works in OneDrive. It automatically creates the form and then associates an Excel spreadsheet. But Excel spreadsheets are old school and actually is not the best place to put them. The place you really want to put this stuff is in a Microsoft list. Now I have a tutorial that I'll be posting later this afternoon, but I'm just going to go over it with you today. Lists are part of SharePoint, and they actually fall in this section called Site Content. So it's not under Documents or anywhere else. It's a whole different section in itself. And it's kind of a combination of spreadsheets and Access database. It's really easy because if I want to sort something or filter something, I can go into here, filter it by that, sort it by that. Doesn't affect anyone else. I don't have to go searching for it like you do in Excel. And there are some really wonderful extra features that you can take advantage of this. And if you need to go into my stream, Microsoft Stream, and look for some of the automation or replace Excel with lists course that I've got in there, that will show you how you can take advantage of this. But what we want to do in this case is I want to actually have the form information populating directly into lists. So here's a form that I've created, this workshop submission session. Beep, 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 wait till it comes up. And there's all my columns of information that I have available here. Okay. Now I've also gone in and created this Microsoft list, and I've added all these columns here. If you're not familiar with it, there's a button over there to add columns. There's different types of columns. Mostly when you're feeding content from one spot to another, you're not going to use the drop-down menus and stuff like that directly here. Look at this. This is ridiculous. Doesn't matter what I do, people keep getting through my notifications. Try that one. No, I lost track. Okay, right. So you can go in and create all these different sections. You do not want to use a drop-down method or a drop-down list or a pop-up list or anything like that. It's just straight text because it's being fed from the form directly over. And we do that with Power Automate. Now, Power Automate is basically creating workflows and stuff, and it's not hard. The tutorials that I have, we start off really easy, but let me just show you what this is. This is the workflow that you would use for this. Basically, there's 3 steps. So the first step is when I create this flow, I'm going to search for something that says when a new response is submitted. So, and the video I'll post later today will have more details on how to go through it, but just so you quick understand. So what we're saying here is anytime someone submits something to this form, go get the details of it. So everything that they submitted to it, and then go over to this SharePoint site into this list, and then take these columns of information, the field information from the form, and add them to the columns in the list. So it's basically copied over. It's all it's going to do. That's it. That's all it is. 3 steps and gets you into lists. And once you're in lists, you've got all this wonderful power of filtering, sorting, automation, reminders, all sorts of stuff that's in there. Now, we also talked in the previous video that you can also add on to that. Every time someone submits a form, I can send out a confirmation message. So if you're doing a sign up for a workshop or something like that, you would use this. It's awesome. One more step. All you're saying is, hey, I'm going to get the email. I'm going to take the information from that form. So there's the first name and the title of the session in this case, and I'll email a confirmation message to them. And then I'm also going to post a message to my channel on a team. So there's a team set up. We have a channel for those of us that are looking after the submissions. I can post a message that says, hey guys, someone has submitted something to our form. And guess what? It also includes a link so that when they click on that, it goes right to that information that just got submitted. So it'll automatically go right to this Peter Parker row. Really, really easy to do. And, you know, anytime that we're doing forms and stuff, I know if everyone's first motion is to run over to Google, but there's so much more power that Microsoft can offer that is really easy. Just taking a couple steps to look at some of the videos and understand some simple concepts, but you can get so much organization and stuff done. And Excel, for a lot of people, is just confusing. It's just way too much. I don't know how to sort it. I mean, we shouldn't be sorting anyways. But here, when you sort, it doesn't damage and corrupt your data. Where sorting in Excel can easily mix your data up. Oh, there's someone in the chat. Let me just see if there's a question or a comment. Nope, that's a different comment. Okay, so that's that automation, and I'll have that posted, and you'll see a link coming into the chat later this afternoon. So a few weeks ago, or maybe it was a couple months ago, we had installed a new extension in Google Drive called Fogo. So Fogo was basically would go into Google Drive and it would do a number of different things. I could select a folder and say, you know, transfer the ownership of this folder and all the files in it, transfer the ownership over to somebody else, or request ownership for somebody else. The one thing I really like about it, though, is you can get a detailed report about every file and folder that's in the folder that you select. So I have one folder where all the Google Forms that I've worked on are stored, and all the spreadsheets associated with them are stored there. And so I was trying to send a note out to all those people that are involved there to say, hey, you know, I'm going to be leaving, you know, make sure your requests go through the help center. But I would have to go to each spreadsheet one at a time to see who had ownership of it or access to it in order to contact them. Instead, Fogo went through this. Now, it took overnight because Fogo basically went through and found, give me a sec here, come on, go back, 13,753 files and folders. So it went through each one of those, and then it gave me this great little report. So there's about almost 200 gigs of stuff in there. A lot of it's PDFs. So some of the folders and forms that we've been using, people are upload folders, or sorry, upload PDFs. And we can see the breakdown by the types here and stuff like that. I can also go down here and look at who are the owners. So I own the most, and then Lynn's next, and Bev has some in there as well. When were they last updated? We can see that a huge number of them were done in the last 6 months. And then creation dates and all sorts of stuff. I can also go in here and just quickly go in and do filtering here. So I just want Trevor here. Whoops, just pick Trevor, thank you. And it'll go through and just, you can see it thinking there, and it'll just give me all the files and stuff that Trevor runs. So I did that wrong. I have to do it this way. Clear, Trevor, there we go. And now that'll just be Trevor's stuff that comes in. There we are. Can see that. Now here's the fun part. Under the details, it actually goes through, grabs the file name, the ID number, the URL of where it's located, what type of file it is, the locations, blah, 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 who owns it, who has edit access to it, who has comment access to it, who's a viewer on it. So it's really easy for me to go in and say, look, here's a bunch of people, and I just go through all these things and I say, I want all these names. I just clean it up a little bit. And now I've got a list of all the people who have access to those files that I can contact. So that's really, really handy when you're trying to do an audit of the files in a folder and who owns them and who's got access and that kind of stuff. So Fogo is a great little tool. If you're not familiar with it, just open up Google Drive. Off to the right will be a little icon that says Fogo, and you can go and take a look at that. So do you start with a form, then the list? Oh, sorry, when did we show? I didn't see that till now. Okay, so to pop back onto that, I would start with the form first, and make sure the form is rock solid what you want, okay? So when I do stuff, even in Google, forms first, get the form approved. You're done, great. Now we'll move to the next stop, because as soon as they change the name in the form, you have to go into the spreadsheet, or sorry, into the list and change the name there. And you might have to go into the automation and change the name there. So it's important to get that form locked down first before you make the next steps. Any questions on Fogo? Nope. Moving on. So last thing I want to talk about is import range. I get this quite often where I will create these things, and then someone says, "Hey, I want to send out a document that has this information here, but I don't want them to have access to all 4 tabs. I only want them to have access to 1 tab. How do I go about doing that?" Import range is a wonderful tool that Google has that allows you to do all that. And basically, when you go in, this is a breakdown of it. Actually, let me do it this way because it's easier. Import range, okay. And I mean, you can get more information on it, but here's how it works. First of all, basically bring the data from one spreadsheet to another. I need to know what the URL is of the spreadsheet, and I need to know what the range you want. And the range is going to also include the name of the tab. So here, hang on a second, I'll go back here. So in this here, what we're looking at, try again, Trevor, go over there. So there's our import range. We're going to go back to this for this Fogo report document. And then there is a tab called listing details, and I want columns A1 through C7. So that's basically listing details A1 through C7. Come on, there we are. All right, do you see how it says live forms? So this does not copy and paste. This is live import, or so not a live link to that data. So if the data changes here, the data also changes here. So this is not editable. This is just a read-only piece. But now I've got a document that I can share with people, and you only see what I want you to see. Meantime, I can still go into here and make changes, whatever I want to do here. They will automatically update in those other that other spreadsheet. I use that quite often because I mean I do a lot of magic and stuff, and no one needs to see what I do. They just want the end result. So in the end, I'll just give them a document. I'll point to a single tab in a page here, and they get to see all the data. And that's import range. Questions, comments? Okay, well, that's almost 20 minutes, so that's it for today. So I will stop recording and we'll hang out. We'll try and stop recording.